Welcome to the Ramayan, Stories of Dharm and Devotion. I'm Sandeep, your storyteller, guiding you through the timeless epic of Valmiki's Ramayan. While our narrative is primarily rooted in Valmiki's version, we also incorporate stories from other Indian texts and versions of the Ramayan to offer a wholesome experience of this eternal tale. Today, we explore a turning point in the Aranya Kanda, the fateful encounter between Shurpanakha and Ram. Shurpanakha, a figure as tragic as she is fearsome, brings with her a story of longing, betrayal, and misjudgment that alters the course of this epic tale.
In the shadowy depths of the Dandaka forest, Shurpanakha roamed with a restless spirit. Her life had been shaped by pain and rejection, and though she was the sister of the mighty Ravana, her past was marked by struggles that defined her fiery nature. Shurpanakha was not always the menacing figure she became. Born into the powerful Rakshas lineage, she grew up alongside her brothers Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and Vibhishan. In her youth, she was known for her sharp wit and ambition. However, unlike her brothers, she sought a path of her own. Against her family's wishes, Shurpanakha fell in love with Vidyutjiv, a Danav prince of the Kalkeya clan, who were mortal enemies of the Rakshases. In secret, she married him, hoping to bridge the divide between the two powerful clans. But her decision was met with fury. When Raavan learned of her marriage, his rage knew no bounds. To him, Shurpanakha's union with a Danav was a betrayal of their Rakshas bloodline. Consumed by anger, Raavan declared war on Vidyutjiv's forces. The battle was fierce and ended with Vidyutjiv's death at Raavan's hands. Shurpanakha, devastated by her husband's demise, was not spared from her brother's wrath. Raavan, blinded by rage, turned to kill her as well. It was Mandodari, Raavan's wise and compassionate wife, who intervened. Raavan, she pleaded, she is your sister, bound by the same blood that courses through your veins. Let not your anger blind you to familial bonds. Kumbhakarna and Vibhishan joined her, appealing to Raavan's sense of loyalty. She has suffered enough, they said. Her life has already been shattered. Let her live. Reluctantly, Raavan lowered his weapon, but his words to Shurpanakha were cold and final. You are no longer my sister, he said. Roam the forests and seek your own path, but do not return to Lanka unless summoned. Mandodari, with quiet kindness, consoled Shurpanakha. Your life need not end here, she said. Search for love again and find your place in this world. Banished from Lanka, Shurpanakha was assigned dominion over forests in southern India. But this was no consolation to her. In her heart, she silently vowed vengeance, not just against those who had wronged her, but eventually against Raavan himself. This vow, fueled by years of pain, would remain hidden until its time came to fruition. With those parting words, Shurpanakha began a life of wandering. She divided her time between Lanka and the forests of southern India, where she lived among her Rakshas kin, Khair and Dushan. Her time in the wilderness deepened her fears and untamed nature, and her heart grew hardened against the world that had wronged her. Shurpanakha's story, however, is also tied to her son, Sambhu Kumaran. Born of a union with Vidyutjiv, Sambhu Kumaran was a figure of great promise. Despite being the son of a Raksha's mother and a Danav father, Sambhu Kumaran did not inherit the thirst for violence. Instead, he was drawn to the path of peace and introspection. Seeking solace and purpose, he spent years in deep meditation, seeking divine guidance. It was during this time that god Indra, impressed by Sambhu Kumaran's devotion, appeared before him. As a boon, Indra gifted him a divine sword of immense power. The sword was said to hold the strength to alter destinies. But Indra also issued a cryptic prophecy. This sword, Sambhu Kumaran, will one day lead to the death of Raavan. Sambhu Kumaran, a believer in peace, was conflicted. While he accepted the sword, he resolved never to use it for violence. Instead, he tied the sword to the branch of a tree, leaving it to hang untouched, a symbol of his commitment to non-violence. Years later, this very sword found its way into the lives of Ram, Sita, and Lakshman. As Lakshman ventured through the forest, gathering supplies for their daily needs, he stumbled upon the sword. Its brilliance caught his eye, but unaware of its divine origins, he took it to their dwelling, intending to use it as a tool for cutting bamboos and grasses. Little did he know, this unassuming act would set the stage for Raavan's ultimate demise. But that is a tale for another time, one that will unfold in the episodes to come. While Shurpanakha's life was marked by turmoil, Ram, Sita, and Lakshman were living a harmonious existence in the serene beauty of Panchavati. The Godavari river flowed gently nearby, its sacred waters nourishing their souls as much as their bodies. They had adapted to the simplicity of forest life, finding peace amidst the wild. One morning, as the golden sunlight filtered through the dense canopy, a shadow approached their humble dwelling. Shurpanakha, drawn by the divine aura she sensed, watched from a distance. Her eyes fell upon Ram, and she was captivated. His noble bearing, his compassionate demeanor, and the glow of righteousness that surrounded him ignited a desire in her heart. Who is this man, so divine in appearance? Shurpanakha thought. Surely, he is no ordinary being. His beauty rivals the gods themselves. I must have him. With this resolve, Shurpanakha stepped forward, her demonic form concealed by magical disguise. She transformed herself into a woman of striking beauty, her appearance adorned with jewels and fine garments. Boldly, she approached Ram as he stood near the riverbank. Who are you, O radiant one, who graces this forest with your presence? She asked, her voice soft and alluring. Ram turned to her, his gaze calm and steady. I am Ram, son of King Dashrath of Ayodhya, he replied. This is my wife, Sita, and my brother, Lakshman. We dwell here in Panchavati as part of our exile. At the mention of Sita, Shurpanakha's gaze shifted to the graceful figure sitting by the hut. Jealousy flared in her heart as she took in Sita's serene beauty. This woman stands in my way, Shurpanakha thought bitterly. If she were gone, Ram would be mine. Hiding her jealousy, Shurpanakha stepped closer, her voice turning bold. Ram, your strength and beauty are unmatched, she said. Why waste your devotion on this frail woman? Leave her and come with me. Together, we can rule the forest and beyond. Ram's expression remained composed, though a flicker of amusement crossed his face. Shurpanakha, he said, your words flatter me. But I must tell you this, I am bound by Dharm and my love for Sita. She is my wife and my equal. Your request is impossible. Shurpanakha's smile faltered, her jealousy erupting into anger. You choose this weakling over me? Look at her. She is nothing compared to my power. Abandon her, and I will give you everything your heart desires. Sita, hearing these words, looked up from her place by the hut. Her calm gaze met Shurpanakha's fiery eyes, unshaken by the demoness venom. Ram, however, stepped forward protectively, his voice firm. Shurpanakha, he said, your words dishonor both Sita and yourself. Leave now and return to your path. But Shurpanakha's anger knew no bounds. Her disguise began to waver, her true form emerging. She lunged toward Sita, her claws extended, intent on eliminating her rival. Before she could reach her, Lakshman stepped in, his bow drawing. Shurpanakha, he warned, his voice sharp, you dare threaten my brother and sister-in-law? Leave now, or face the consequences of your folly. Shurpanakha hesitated, torn between fear and fury. But her wounded pride pushed her forward, setting the stage for a confrontation that would ignite a chain of events destined to reshape the course of the Ramayan. Shurpanakha lunged at Sita with claws extended. Her face contorted with rage, she swore to eliminate the woman who had stolen Ram's heart. Lakshman reached for the sword tied at his waist, a blade with a story intertwined with fate. This sword was none other than the celestial weapon given to Shurpanakha's son, Sambhu Kumaran, by Lord Indra himself. Sambhu Kumaran, a soul devoted to peace, had tied the sword to a tree, refusing to use it for violence. Lakshman, while wandering the forest, had come across the sword and unknowingly taken it for daily use. Unbeknownst to him, this sword would one day fulfill a prophecy that would bring about the end of Raavan himself. As Shurpanakha lunged once more, Lakshman acted with precision. With a single, swift stroke of the celestial blade, he disfigured Shurpanakha, severing her nose. The forest seemed to hold its breath as Shurpanakha stumbled backward, her anguished cries piercing the stillness. Blood streamed down her face as she clutched at her mutilated features, her once fiery demeanor now replaced by pain and humiliation. "You will pay for this," Shurpanakha screamed, her voice shaking with rage. "You may have wounded me today, but you have no idea of the forces you have unleashed. I will see you destroyed, and Raavan himself will avenge my suffering." Ram, watching the scene with a heavy heart, turned to Lakshman. "Brother," he said, his voice calm yet somber, "though your actions were necessary, this will not end here. Be prepared, for her vengeance will summon challenges far greater than we have faced before." As Shurpanakha fled into the depths of the forest, her cries for vengeance echoed through the wilderness. Her destination was clear. She would go to her brothers, Khair and Dushan, and incite them to take arms against Ram and Lakshman. Yet, beneath her fury, a hidden motive simmered. Shurpanakha, even in her pain, saw an opportunity to strike at Raavan himself. She knew that Ram, with his righteousness and strength, was unlike any adversary her brother had faced before. Though her immediate goal was vengeance for her humiliation, she also hoped that these events would eventually lead to Raavan's downfall, fulfilling her long-cherished desire for retribution. Meanwhile, at Panchavati, Ram, Sita, and Lakshman reflected on the day's events. Sita, her grace undiminished, spoke softly. "My lord, the trials we face seem to grow with each passing day. Yet, I trust in your wisdom and strength to guide us through them." Ram placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Sita," he said, "the path of Dharm is fraught with challenges, but it is the only path worth walking. Together, we will face whatever lies ahead." Lakshman, though steadfast in his resolve, nodded solemnly. "Brother, I acted to protect Sita, but I fear that this act will bring greater trials upon us." Shurpanakha's wrath will not rest easily. Unbeknownst to the trio, the celestial sword wielded by Lakshman that day would play a significant role in the future. Though it had disfigured Shurpanakha, its destiny was far greater. It would one day be the instrument of Raavan's ultimate downfall. This act of defiance against Shurpanakha set into motion a chain of events that would escalate into a conflict far beyond the peaceful bounds of Panchavati. It was a clash between Dharm and Adharm, one that would test the strength and resolve of all involved. This episode marks a turning point in the Ramayan, where the personal and the cosmic collide. Shurpanakha's disfigurement is not merely an act of defense, it is a catalyst for the eventual confrontation between Ram and Raavan, fulfilling destinies long intertwined.
In the next episode, we will witness the arrival of Khair and Dushan, and the fierce battle that ensues as Ram faces an army of Rakshas to protect the sanctity of Panchavati. Thank you for joining me on the Ramayan stories of Dharm and Devotion. Please share this podcast with your loved ones to keep these timeless tales alive. While we may not know exactly what happened, this eternal story of the Ramayan serves as a guide for how we conduct ourselves in our day-to-day lives. Until next time, may the light of Dharm guide your path and fill your heart with peace.